Lee over at TimeRider's Wee Little Cars had several Hot Wheels 1964 Impala castings, and he was kind enough to throw an offer out there to people watching the bench at the tail end of one of his videos to join him in customizing this car. And so I was fortunate enough to be one of the first ones to respond, and he sent this little casting out to me. So this is his Impala Memorial Day build, and all of the videos will be coming out on May 25th. So let's get to work on this. So this thing, I'm not even sure how to describe the paint style on this thing. I believe it's a Hot Wheels art car, I believe is what they call it. But the white wheels, dear Lord. If I sound like I'm at a loss for words, I am. I can't imagine using white wheels on any car. I mean, even Halloween cars, I'm not sure that I'd ever try to get away with that. It's pretty ambitious to try and make white wheels look good on something. Some people have. I mean, I've seen some cars with them that people have done that look fine. I'm not man enough to pull that off. So, yeah, I'm popping those things out of there. Those have to go. Now, I grew up in Santa Maria, California, born and raised there. Still live pretty close to there, and actually live there part of the time. And going to end up there. But growing up there, let me just put it to you this way. I think of that song that went, all my friends love a low rider. But when you say 64 Impala to me, I definitely think a low rider. So that's what I wanted to do with this. Now, I haven't slammed any cars down to the ground yet, so this is a new experience for me. And lowriders don't have boring paint, so that's going to be something different for me. But I cut off those stupid little round things that they put under the wheels on Hot Wheels that I think they're there so when kids step on the cars, it doesn't screw up the axles. It keeps them from smashing all the way down to the ground. So I cut those off, and I'm going to file that chassis down. It's a plastic base. I'm going to file that base down pretty much as flat as I can get it so that at least it's even with the body line. There's nothing extending down below the body line. Now, as it turns out, I wasn't able to slam this down as low as I wanted to, and to say it's a reluctant roller now is putting it mildly. But as you can kind of see there, that base, it's sitting on the ground with the body on it. Now, because I wanted to lower it, obviously I needed to raise where the axles were. So I did do some axle tubes. And it's a very narrow little area for that axle tube. And so what I ended up doing, and unfortunately I don't show it really well here, and I apologize for that. But on the axles I have, and right now with the situations the way they are, we're all of the people building cars are in a tough situation to get supplies, and basically it seems like all the wheels we were getting were coming from outside of the U.S., so we're having a hell of a time getting wheels. Some of us are having hard times getting paint. I've been fortunate. But anyhow, I went with some wheels I had, and got this thing as low as I could with those. Now, because I'm raising, what I was saying, I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. What I ended up doing was nipping off one of the ends of the axles on each axle, shortening it, excuse me, and then putting little grommet things, little crimp things on it. Now here we're going to the paint. What you see there are fingernail stencils. Stencils you use for painting fingernails. I've had those sitting around, been wanting to use them. So I stuck them on here and I decided, okay, I'm busting out the metal cast paints. And so I shot it. I put the stencils on, as you see, masked off everything else, hit it with red, pulled the stencils off, and hit it with the orange, and then baked it. Let that thing bake for a while. I think I got the idea for the stencils. I'm sure I got the idea from Brian over at Diecast Outcast. I can't remember which episode of his, but I'm sure he mentioned it in one of his. And this is the gratuitous gauzy scene. For those of you who are now playing the drinking game where you take a shot every time I mention the word gauzy. For those of you playing the game, gauzy, 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 gauzy. You're welcome. So cover that up so it doesn't get any fuzz on it. And I decided, like any good lowrider, I wanted that to have a pimped out interior. So I shot it with white, thinking this is going to be some kind of crushed fabric, white interior, and did orange inserts for the seats to match the paint as best as I could. Now the Sharpie pins that you're probably sick of me talking about, I like them because it's not really a chrome finish. It's kind of a brushed aluminum look to it, which really is ideal for the back and front of the Impala, because it's basically a brushed aluminum look to it. You know, obviously the bumpers are chrome. Obviously there's chrome accents, but there's also brushed aluminum areas. And the Sharpie paint pins are perfect for this. The only problem with the Sharpie paint pins is like trying to get into the tail lights and stuff. They just don't get in there that well. It's a very blunt tip on those pins, which works to your advantage sometimes to your disadvantage. And so almost like a Thomas's English muffin with all the nooks and crannies, the Sharpie pin can't get in there all the time. But like here on the front, again, it worked well, except like right around the headlights. And for that, you know, I'll wipe toothpicks on the end of the Sharpie pin. I'll wipe a brush on the end of the Sharpie pin and try and work it in there. I'll press the Sharpie pin in there as best I can and try and work the paint in. I'm pretty happy with the results, the way it worked on here. As you saw that little flash there, I did do a little detail to the base, but since I had basically sanded that damn thing flat, there wasn't much left. I did go around the windows. I know some of you are going to be shocked at that because, Jim, don't do that. Well, I did this time. And then I got out the Tamiya Red Clear, which is fantastic paint for taillights. So hit that on there. There you can kind of see the brushed aluminum look to it. And then it was time for the Citadel paints. And that right there is it's a ball tip at both ends of that little plastic rod. And it works fantastic for headlights. I did the like robin's egg blue, mixing the white paint and the blue paint to come up with that light blue color. And then you just dip that ball pin into it, and it makes really a perfect circle on the headlights. And you can get those on Amazon. I bought a set of them, and it's a bunch of different sizes. Again, I think they're designed for fingernails. It's amazing how many fingernail painting kinds of things work out perfectly for things at this scale. On the front bumper, you might have noticed I put in the turn signal indicators. And they didn't seem to be cut into the bumper, but looking at a bunch of photos, they're there. So they're there on mine. So it's time to throw this puppy together. there you can see a better look at that interior. I did go over it with Nuln Oil as well. I had to chop the hell out of the front and back ends of that plastic, that piece where the seats are in, just to be able to get the body together with those wheels the way I had raised them. So get this thing together. Once again, I'm really happy with the metal cast paints. The red that I put down first dried really quickly because it was a very light coat. And so really, within just a few minutes, it was ready for me to then go over it with the orange. And there was no bleeding or anything like that between the colors. It worked out fantastically. Anybody who wants to try that, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend the fingernail stencils. That was fantastic. It makes me want to get maybe one of those little vinyl cutters so I can do my own kind of stencils. But I'm pretty happy with the results. I'd really like to thank Lee for sending this casting out to me and to all the other people, and for having this event, because this has been fun. I don't know when else I'd do a lowrider. I mean, maybe at some point I would have. I mean, I've been tempted to do like a lowrider truck or something like that, but I just haven't got to it. So there's where we started. And it was very generous of Lee to send these out to everybody. And again, you know, I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful community we have. And I really appreciate everything everyone does. Especially with all we're going through, it's good to know there's a lot of good people out there. So I hope you've enjoyed this build. Hope you like the end results here. Again, this is the casting as we started. And then all my friends love a low rider. Here's where it ended up. Yeah, I thought about doing like an 805 car club, placard for the back window. And then I thought that thing would have been so damn small, I don't know how I would have done the 805 in the house look to it. So my homies might have got after me about it. If you look closely, you can see the orange inserts on the seats in there. I did do some other silly things. I did like a chrome glove box, if I remember right. I don't know that you can see it here, but yeah, I mean, the speakers in the back, I did chrome. Again, you can't really see it, but I'm happy with how that back end turned out, and the front. The front grille, I'm really happy with how the details on that turned out as well. So there's a few glamour shots coming up here. I'd like to thank everybody for all of your support. Thank you to all of my subscribers. And hopefully you enjoyed this build, and hopefully you'll like the ones in the future. Everybody take care. Thanks again, Lee. And everybody stay safe and healthy out there. And if you catch yourself with some time on your hands, get yourself a little car. Rip it apart, hit it with some paint, have some fun. Catch y'all on the next one.